Hi, welcome to Polyphonic Press. I'm Jeremy Boyd, and today I'm going to be reviewing the new album by the Black Keys, entitled Turn Blue. Here we go. So this is the Black Keys' 8th studio album, and their third with producer Danger Mouse. With El Camino being such a heavy rock-based album, they wanted to do something a little bit different. Up until now, the Black Keys had really gained a reputation as being a bluesy sort of rock and roll band. But seeing as they're musicians and creative people, they didn't want to just be pigeonholed as just a guitar band. So they set out to do something different, and they ended up releasing Turn Blue. This album starts off with the song Weight of Love, which is an acoustic-based song that has really huge influence from Neil Young. In fact, the opening chords are almost identical to Cowgirl in the Sand. And the drums come in, and it really creates this spacey, psychedelic groove. The vocals don't actually come in until over 2 minutes into the track, and some people might be put off by this a little bit, but when you create some really great grooves with that, you kind of want to let it breathe a little bit. This really only works if the song calls for it, and I think they really got it right on this track. I still don't know if that's quite the best way to open up the album, but I think it's a really strong song. The title track, Turn Blue, is the second single released from the album. It's a mid-tempo song with the bass and drums kind of taking the lead, and they're sort of playing opposite to each other. The bass is playing this pulsing sort of rhythm, and the drums are very subtle and sort of pulled back a little bit and playing something that's very simplistic. The vocals are very well done on this song, especially on the chorus, have a lot of pop elements thrown in with them. But the feel of this song is off a little bit. It just kind of feels like they're going through the motions and they're not really into the song as much as they could be, or as much as the song really calls for it. I can't quite put my finger on it, but there's just something off with the way that the drums and the bass and the guitar and the vocals are all playing together, but it seems like they're not really engaged with each other. Something isn't quite in line. If it were up to me, I don't think I would have released this song as a single. The first single from the album is the song Fever, and like a lot of people, I was sort of on the fence with this song. It's a pretty drastic left turn for the Black Keys, and it's really something that they're not quite known for. They're doing something quite a bit different. This song very much has a disco feel, and the guitars are held back in favor of the synthesizer and keyboards. Since its release, it's kind of grown on me, and I actually do kind of like this song, but again, like Turn Blue, I don't think it was the best choice as a single, and especially not the first single from the album. The song It's Up to You is really the first rock song on this album. This is perhaps the type of song that the Black Keys are probably most known for, and by the time it comes up on the album, you're really wanting it to start, because most of the songs leading up to this one are pretty mellow, mid-tempo songs with not much guitar, or if there's guitar in it, it's very subtle. There's really nothing wrong with that type of song, but when it's sort of repetitive and just kind of the same thing over and over, it can get kind of boring sometimes. So when this song comes up, it kind of cuts through all of that with the fuzz guitars and the Bo Diddley inspired rhythm. It's a really great rock song, and it's a pretty good showcase of Dan Auerbach as a guitar player. The song that immediately follows is the song Waiting on Words, and it's probably my favorite song on the album. It's a slow acoustic ballad sort of song, and when I first heard it, I thought maybe they had brought in a guest vocalist, but it's actually Dan Auerbach singing in a much higher register than he usually does. It's interesting to hear him singing that high because he usually sings more in the mid-range, so it really is cool to see him fully express his vocal ability. I think this song itself is really well written. I really like the interplay between the acoustic and the electric guitar. They sort of play off of each other and really don't get in the way. They're just sort of complementing each other, and the electric guitar is really there more for accents. And the album ends with the song Gotta Get Away, which sounds very much like a Rolling Stones type of song. I really like this song, and I think it ends the album in a very positive mood. I think this is really one of the stronger songs on the album, and I think that's really where this band it does its best, is really great rock and roll. I think this song is an excellent closer because it really puts you in a good mood and makes you want to hear the whole album over again. The production on this album is pretty straightforward, although there are some things that are sort of put in there to emphasize the song, like different keyboards and synthesizers and things like that, but they're only really used if the song actually calls for it. They're not overused or anything like that. One thing I think that could have been improved is the sound of the drums. You know, Patrick Carney is a great drummer, and it feels like the drums are sort of buried in the mix and sort of pulled back a little bit. It felt like the attitude was the drums are just there to hold down the rhythm and aren't really doing anything interesting, which is the exact opposite. There are a lot of really great drum lines in this album, but you can't really hear them because they're kind of buried in the mix. This is a good album, but I don't think it's the Black Keys' best work. Sometimes the song really works and sometimes it doesn't. I think this band is best when they're doing really great rock and roll, and I think they should strive towards that. So for those reasons, I'm going to give this album a 7 out of 10. So anyway, that's what I thought about the album. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you'd like to suggest an album for me to review, please leave that in the comments as well. Be sure to subscribe so you know when I post new videos, and you can check us out on Twitter and Facebook. That's about it. Take it easy.